I'll be reading now from slides 4, 5, 6, and 7. The title of slide 4 is The Sky and Our Calendar. For thousands of years, people have used the sun, the moon, and stars to keep track of time. While looking at the sky, they have noticed how certain patterns repeat, and they've used those patterns to make calendars. Most of the time, these patterns make it easy for us to keep track of time, but not always. For example, deciding on the length of a year can be harder than you might think. A day is exactly 24 hours. That is how long it takes Earth to rotate once. And we say that a year is 365 days because that is the time it takes Earth to travel once around the sun. But that is not quite true. Earth's trip around the sun actually takes 365 days plus a fraction of another day. This fraction of a day complicates our calendar. We solved the problem by adding an extra day to the calendar every 4th year. Most years, February has 28 days, but during a leap year, February has an additional day, the 29th. This way we can keep our calendar on track. Figuring out the length of a month has also caused problems. For example, many cultures in history have used a lunar calendar. A lunar calendar is based on the cycle of the moon, which takes about a month. This means that there are 12 and a half lunar months in a year. But different cultures have chosen to start their months at different parts of the moon cycle. The Hebrew and Islamic calendars, for example, start a new month when the thin crescent moon is barely visible. But the Chinese calendar, on the other hand, starts a new month the moment the new moon rises. This made it hard for cultures to communicate and trade. In the 1500s, England had problems with their calendar. The English divided the month into weeks, just as we do today. They decided that every month should have 4 weeks. This meant that 1 week was actually a little longer than 7 days. Also, it meant that there were 13 months to a year. By the 20th century, however, most countries had adopted the same calendar. This made trade and communication between them easier. Some countries still had to drop 13 days from their calendar because their old way of counting months and years did not line up with the new ways of counting. The sun, the moon, earth, and stars move in predictable cycles. But even though these patterns occur regularly, we have never figured out a simple way to make a calendar that works just right. On the next page are some questions. Number 1 says, how long does it take Earth to travel around the sun? A, 1 month, B, 1 day, C, 1 year, or D, 1 lunar month? Number 2, what is the process described by the 2 phrases below? The first phrase says, takes approximately 24 hours. The second said, is the result of the rotation of Earth. So based on these 2 phrases, what process are we talking about? A, 1 year, B, 1 month, C, 1 day, or D, 1 revolution of the moon? The following page is number 3. The word lunar, paragraph 3, means A, having to do with calendars, B, having to do with the moon, C, yearly, or D, crazy. Number 4, what is a problem that would likely occur if 2 cultures had different calendars? A, they might have different languages. B, they might have a war about which calendar is better. C, they might misunderstand dates when they try to communicate. Or D, they might not know how long it takes the moon's phases to cycle. And number 5, the author organizes his passage by A, telling the reader the effects caused by Earth's rotation, B, sequencing the changes in calendars that have occurred through the years, C, explaining the problems people have had with making calendars, or D, telling a story about calendars. And on the last page here, we have some 3 open-ended response questions. Number 1 says, we can easily see the constellation Leo from the months of March to May. Why are constellations not seen in the same place in the sky all year round? Number 2, why are summer days longer than winter days? And number 3, your teacher asks you to create models of Earth, the sun, the moon. What materials would you use to represent each object and why? Good luck.